What is going on, Wolfpack Nation? Thank you all so much for tuning in here today. Again, we are here live with the Tuffy Talk Live Show, baby. Another episode, another one rolling in here. So, just like we said, as always, again, we're here basically just to talk all things NC State. Got obviously our Tuffy's Weekly Rewind, our Tuffy's Tweets of the Week, and our Tuffy's mailbag that we're going to be talking about today. But again, any questions, thoughts, comments that you may have, or even just to say, hey, send us a comment in the chat. We'll definitely love to hear from you all. But with that being said, again, got to get started off. Well, first of all, got to let my man Macon in here, so that way we can get the whole crew rolling. Especially, hey, he's got the Slobber and Wolf shirt today. Ooh, yes, sir. Oh, Macon, I can't hear you.
Fashionably late, guys, and technical difficulties.
Oh, there he is. Yeah, no worries. So, Benjamin says, so I want to kind of go ahead and jump on Benjamin's comment saying any updates on softball team. Not sure what you mean by that, Benjamin. Do you guys know what he means by that? I don't know. Okay. Yeah. So let us know, Benjamin, what you mean by that.
We'll get into it.
Yeah. Let's get into it. So first of all, got to jump in. Obviously, the biggest piece of news coming in off of, I'm sure that you could probably say one of the biggest recruiting weekends that Dave Doran and his staff has had. Coming off of it, you get two big commitments. So obviously, starting off in 4-star safety athlete Zach Myers and 3-star defensive lineman Isaiah Shirley have both announced they are running with the Pack, baby, Pack 2023. So again, I mean, obviously, I think that this is hopefully the start of maybe a couple more coming down the trail here in the next, hopefully a couple weeks or so. So, I mean, Macon, kind of what was your kind of initial scoop about those two announcements?
Well, I don't know about scoop. I just thought they were very good gets. I think, Zach Myers is a 4-star player and Isaiah Shirley's a 3-star guy. But they both had really good offers. I know people might look at the 3-star, be like, oh, he's just like a drop in the bucket. But this is a guy I don't think that got seen a whole lot, and he's 6'4". I can't remember his size, his weight, but I think he's like
6'3", 6'3", 259.
Yeah, I was gonna say 250, 260. He moves really well, and he seems to already have a good starting point for his technique coming into the team, the program. I know he's going to still have to play his senior year, but it's a really good pickup for State. Isaiah Shirley, and then Myers was the higher rated guy, and I know he's also an athlete. I think State wants him as a defensive back. His film, you see him play wide receiver, so he could play somewhere. I think State's targeting other guys more specific. I know they are targeting guys more specific wide receiver, but I think Myers moves very fluidly. I don't know. When you watch him, he's got really good hands. It seems very soft hands too. I like that when I watch his film. And I think these are the kind of guys, particularly Shirley, are guys that you want to be able to, I guess, that they're like locker room guys. They're guys who you can get other players want to come play with. In some regard, because Myers, I think, has the stars, and that's if you're not trying to look at it too hard, you see, really high-rated guy. But Shirley is the kind of guy that you want to be around. I'm sure Zach is too, but Shirley just comes off, reading the articles that these websites have put out. He seems like a guy you just want to be around, high character kind of guy. So, really excited about those guys, and obviously State's not done. They usually recruit really hard in the summer. So,
no, absolutely. Again, I'm hoping and expecting here within next week, especially around July 4th time, that we'll get another commitment or two. Again, a lot of rumors out there, but again, it's just great to finally see some of these guys, but the one thing I did want to bring up is obviously the announcement of Noah Rogers. I think is a guy that all of us kind of expected and was hoping, would announce his commitment to State, and unfortunately he decided to go join the stacked wide receiver class at Ohio State. And it makes you wonder. And again, we're going to get into this a little bit here, talking about NIL, stuff like that. But I mean, besides NIL, and Greg, Michael, I'm kind of curious y'all's thoughts. And also too, y'all that are tuning in, let me know kind of your thoughts as well. But besides NIL, what would you say is kind of the recruiting point for him to go to Ohio State with such a deep recruiting class that they already have a wide receiver? They already have a couple of 5-star wide receivers that are already committed to Ohio State. So that's really kind of what I'm trying to figure out. Besides NIL, what's kind of the recruiting point?
I mean, that he can be on a team that will be competing for the college football playoff every year, even if he's not on the field, which, that can play into people's, decisions. Even if they're not on the field, it's pretty nice to be on a team that's in the college football playoff. And if he really works hard and thinks he's best out there, then he thinks he'll beat out all those other guys who are ranked higher than him, and see the field from there.
Well, because the beautiful thing too, like Zach Myers, he one of the first things he said right after he committed was that I'm going to reach out to, I think, Noah and some other guys as well, saying like, we're going to bring them in. And because I think that's one of the biggest things. Like I remember we had a defensive tackle. Like again, I feel like it's fairly common, that you get guys in and immediately what they start to become is basically your inside recruiters,
right.
And especially having a guy like Zach Myers, who is a 4-star athlete, that just like, Megan was saying, the guys want to play with. And especially too, hopefully with us, if we can have a great season, like we expect to have this upcoming season, that'll basically be a recruiting pitch within itself, being like, see, like, we're building a dynasty. Like we're building something here. No, sorry, not dynasty. I want to hold off on that word, but we're building something here. We're moving in the right direction. We are moving in an upward trajectory. And so you should come along with us, kind of deal.
And you mentioned playoffs. Isn't State supposed to be in the playoff this year?
Absolutely. Hey, big game boomer put us in.
According to Big Game Boomer.
Big Game Boomer put us in. But Greg, anything to add on that?
No, I mean, it's all the normal talking points why a player would want to go to Ohio State versus NC State. Just the exposure. They do. I mean, no, not to say we obviously haven't put wide receivers in the league, but I mean, there's a lot more out there from Ohio State than there is NC State. So
sure.
I'd be interested. I don't know who their quarterback is coming in next year because I would imagine Stroud will be gone unless something crazy happens. So I'm sure it's probably a 4-star, 5-star kind of guy. So, but who knows? You got to have a good quarterback to get you the ball.
Absolutely. Yep.
So,
well, I'm going to add a couple things here too.
Go for it.
So what's interesting about Noah Rogers is I think, he's not signed anywhere yet. And I see in the comment section that Benjamin said we flipped Peyton, referring to Peyton Wilson. And we flipped players before. What's interesting though, I saw I think it was Nathan Leacock, because he just came off his official visit to Tennessee, or it was Dalen Smothers, who just came off his official to Florida State. I think it was Leacock. But on his Instagram post for my top 7, Nathan Leacock versus top 7, he's a receiver, said that Noah Rogers went on there and commented, "Stay home." So it's I know they've talked, they're all buddies and they all talk about playing together, but why would he comment that?
Yeah.
If he's going to Ohio
State, right.
And there's got to me, that shows door's not closed at the very least. He's saying those things, and partly is it to spot Ohio State and see if State's.
I got another conspiracy theory. Maybe he was forced to get a verbal to Ohio State before he lost it, because he knows he can always fall back to NC State.
Well, because this goes back to Johnny Frazier, again, for those who don't remember, was part of the Pac 18 class, Pac 17, 18 class, 4-star running back. And I was, friends with him, for a sort. I was a running back, manager. So I was pretty close to all the running backs. And Johnny, one of the things that he told me when he originally committed to Florida State was that one of the reasons he committed to Florida State was because they pretty much were saying that our spots are going to be filling up. So if you're going to take our scholarship, you got to commit. So that could be part of it, is that Noah's basically saying, well, I'm going to commit because I don't want to lose the Ohio State offer, but I can always decommit and come back to State if I want to come to State, kind of deal. So just keep that in mind as well. Again, it's a game. I'm telling you, like for example, these Friday, have you guys seen the show Friday Night Lights, the TV show Friday Night Lights?
I haven't. I need to watch it, but
okay. But yeah, so there's the part in season 5 where the quarterback is getting recruited by a college, and and the booster is walking him around saying oh no, I'm just taking around some friends of mine, and oh yeah, you guys just stand right here. I'm just gonna go talk to the head coach, but just and basically what they did was they stood close enough where basically the head coach could basically talk loud enough so that way the recruit could overhear. It's a game. It is a game.
It's chess. It's chess is what this is. It's not checkers. So it's not he's committed done. It's just this is official visits here, when to take official visits. It looks because I remember going into it, was well, did Noah Rogers take his official visit or his unofficial visit? And now that he's committed to Ohio State, maybe it's a good thing for him to take his official visit so that way he gets the other way. He doesn't take it in the fall, and then State keeps the official visit in the back pocket. There's a whole line of things. And some guys you want to commit early because you just want to lock them up early. It's just a relationship, a game. It's like a dance, a chess. I don't know how to explain it. It's fun, particularly in the summer when there's not a lot going on anyway. So
it's strategery.
Strategery. That's a word.
Stuff where teams set themselves up for future success. It's stuff like Russell Wilson was a 2-star recruit. Imagine what would have happened if we didn't get Russell. One guy can change your perception of your program. I don't know. I just think it's really, recruiting is a really big deal, and coaches obviously spend so much time doing it. So I like to follow it. But
exactly. Yeah.
And like you said, it's not a done deal. They're gonna keep in touch with them. They'll probably make it to a game or two this fall. Because it's a lot easier for one of our coaches to go to one of his games than an Ohio State coach. So keep that in mind. They can keep that relationship building where Ohio State might just sign him and forget him.
And he very well may go to Ohio State, and he may be the better out of all the receivers that have committed to them at the end. But you just don't know.
Maybe.
I think it's clearly by his comments, and he's commented on Nathan Leacock. I'm pretty sure he's commented on Dalen Smothers and whoever else. Maybe Jamarcus Cool is the guy. He's commented stay home, stay home, stay home. Why would you do that if you're leaving?
That's why if I'm a betting man, I really do think that honestly, probably my theory is probably not too far off, maybe from the reality. It just makes too much sense. Because again, why? Just like you said, why else would he say to guys stay in North Carolina? It doesn't make sense otherwise.
Unless he's just trying to smoke screen people and be like mess people's feelings, but
yeah, maybe.
But,
Who knows?
maybe, but
at least the door's not shut. It's closed.
No.
Nothing's signed sealed yet.
For sure.
Yeah,
No.
and again, looking back at how his visit went, or his unofficial visit went at State, and he supposedly missed his flight. Well, he did miss his flight to Ohio State, and maybe that's what. Yes, correct.
Twice.
That's maybe what triggered them. Hey, we need you now, or best of luck with you. So there could be
That's true.
So many different factors out there that we just don't know. And right now we're just all wearing 10 hats. So
and because you also know that the Thomas brothers are obviously close with Noah. I mean, and so to me, I'm saying that Thayer wouldn't have tweeted out, "I'm still recruiting you."
That's what I was gonna get at.
If it was a
if Noah said, "I'm going to Ohio State," because if Noah said, "I'm going to Ohio State," then Thayer would just let it be. But I mean,
Thayer even said, "Let me pass down number 5 to you," because no, we're
right.
So
but anyways, I will say this. Go ahead.
I was gonna say is like, look, if I'm Noah Rogers and I say, bro, like I'm good, like I'm done, like don't bother with me. But that hasn't come out yet, at least publicly with Noah and the Thomas brothers. Like they're still putting mentions and showing emojis and all that stuff on each other's feeds. So we still got 5 more months of this.
Yeah, let me put this a closing comment to this subject, this topic. I think though at the same time we're talking about Noah here, including him in this conversation. I really want State fans to also just focus on the guys who want to be here right now too. So it's like. Zach Myers and Isaiah Shirley are really good players that we have gotten committed to State. And, there's some other guys we're still going after. Dalen Smothers, Tamarcus Cooley, Kamen Skid, his offensive lineman, bunch of really good players. Damon Fagan, safety out of Florida. So, which is another 4-star guy. But Myers and Shirley want to be here. I think they should be celebrated for that.
Absolutely.
It's really
absolutely awesome. No. They're great pieces for sure. It's just kind of a wish list, and because at the end of the day, I mean, Isaiah and Zach know that again. It's not that we're flashing on them whatsoever, but just again, just like they want the best players they can get to join them, and same for us. We just want the best guys that we can get to join them. That's all we're trying to do here. That's all we want. So, and also too, Benjamin brings up that we offered a guard/tackle from Clayton named Will Coates. So again, it's. But the point being, once again, because somebody said, like basically saying, I think it was a UNC guy actually saying, like, saying, bro, he's gone, like talking about Noah Rogers, like, let it be. And it's like, no, because I think we actually even tweeted back at him saying there was a linebacker from North Carolina that actually was committed to you guys, and then we switched him. So,
why would you stop recruiting a guy if you really wanted him? You thought he was that good until signing day. I mean,
it's that possible. It's So,
and you have so much in your corner to sway that particular person you want so bad. Like, why would you stop? I don't know.
I mean, it's much easier for his friends and family to come see him in Raleigh, Columbus. It's a heck of a lot.
Still
Well, because kind of one of the things that goes through my head is like during the recruitment of Will Shipley, obviously I know he's with Clemson now, and so we're not crazy about him, but at the end of the day, it was factual that one of the reasons that he didn't want to come was just because he felt like that the chances of him winning at Clemson were better than it was at State. And so again, it just comes back to at the end of the day, winning solves a lot of issues. Winning answers a lot of questions. So at the end of the day, if we can, win AC title this year, or if we can, be Clemson, be Wake Forest, and around that time we're hot. We're 5-6-0, and then you look at Noah and be like, look at that, like join that, come on now. So just saying. So but anyway though, so we'll see what happens with that. But again, recruiting is not over, and it'll be fun. That now that baseball is over, unfortunately, that's kind of what we have right now. So
it's fun.
No, it is a lot of fun. So wanted to kind of touch on a couple of things, 2 things specifically. So first of all, track and field, got to give a shout out to Caitlin Tuohy, who was named the ACC Women's Outdoor Track Performer of the Year. Not really a shocker there, obviously after winning a national title, but had to give a shout out to her. And also, too, actually, a reminder, too, this is actually the second year in a row that the award was actually given to an NC State track member. So, again, just, I feel like it's been week after week that we've mentioned the cross country or the track team, and it's more just proving the point really than anything else. And then also, too, got to give a shout out as well to a couple of NC State swimmers that won medals at the World Championships this week in Budapest, Hungary. So again, love to see what's going on with Braden Holloway and this program that NC State's building here with swimming and diving as well. So hats off and congratulations to all of those swimmers who won medals. But jumping in here, so we will move into, and so you know what, I forgot to totally do our Tuffy's weekly rewind and switch over that. We just kind of jumped into everything, but we'll jump on over here to Tuffy's tweets of the week. So here we go. All right, so first one is a fun one. So this is. Yeah, this isn't necessarily in-state related, but it's have to take a minute here and just laugh here a little bit. So for those who are listening, and basically it's a tweet from Old Rose Sports. It has a picture of Quinn Ewers, the quarterback commit, who was the number 1 quarterback recruit 2 years ago, and then it has another picture of Arch Manning, and it says all this just to beat Kansas. And
That's hilarious.
So yeah, that was. I just had to add that one there because that is, again, it's just a big fat eye roll at Texas. But jumping into really the also too, got to give a shout out to NC State Wrestling. This tweet was actually sent out today. It says change is coming, ... soon, ! It's a picture of what looks to be one of the new lockers that's going in for NC State Wrestling. So I think all of us, especially us wrestling followers, have been saying for quite some time that it is way overdue for NC State Wrestling to get some locker room upgrades, and especially too because of the fact that Pat Popolizio, Coach Hall, and these guys were able to recruit a top 5 recruiting class with not such the best locker room facilities. Imagine when he does have locker room facilities. That's kind of the crazy, mind-blowing thing that kind of goes through my head, but got to give a shout as well. But now let's get into really the meat that I wanted to kind of discuss. And so bringing up our tweet to kind of lead into it. But so basically, we put out a tweet yesterday talking about this 2023 quarterback commit named Jaden Rashada, who basically said, and it was basically announced that he is projected to earn $9.5 million in a Miami NIL deal, and he turned down $11 million from Florida. And one of the things I wanted to bring up too is that apparently he said in a statement that one of his goals that he wants to win a national championship, and he felt that his odds were better in Miami of winning a national championship than Florida. So this is kind of a two-piece conversation here, but again, basically the tweet basically is from us basically saying that it's baffling to us that this is where we are in college athletics, where literally a 17, 18-year-old kid is getting offered $9.5 to $11 million. Like, that's insanity. Like, that is absolutely crazy. Because again, I understand the point that at the end of the day, players should get paid for the use of their talents, their abilities, their faces, their names. I get it. Like, at the end of the day, that precedent's been set. It is what it is, but I feel like $9.5 million is kind of excessive.
Is that over how many years is that?
Who knows?
I mean, it's just
it didn't say.
Let's say 4 years. So, but again, $2 million a year. I mean, think of it this way: that literally, I don't know what the NFL minimum is. I don't know if you guys know what the NFL minimum is, but I know that NBA minimum is around $750,000. Is the lowest rookie contract you can get paid per year.
And also, add this too. I know where you're going with this. To add to that, I'm looking here. In this draft, I'm trying to look here.
It's about the 10th pick.
Paid over 4 years is approximately what the 28th pick in the NFL draft is getting in his rookie contract through 4 years, which was went to the Packers, Devontae Wyatt or Lewis Steen or whoever. Those guys got paid a little over $2 million for their rookie contract per year, and that's like he's getting paid essentially 2 point something. So
yeah, so Well,
It'll depend. Yeah. It'll depend if that $9 million is over 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Because if you figure if he's as good as advertised, what they're saying, he's probably gone after 3. So if you break it down, that's probably going to be end up making it 3 years, 9 million. So 3 a year,
and there could be a future earnings, like they give him this money now, and then when he makes it, if he makes it to the NFL, they get part of his future earnings or something. I don't know.
Well, let's get into the nitty-gritty of it, because one of the biggest issues I have with this is that, to me, it puts so much more pressure. It changes the landscape of youth sports forever, period, because of the fact that, again, like literally, you're looking at a 7 to 8 year old, and now you can look at that kid and say, in 8, 9, or 10 years, you got the possibility of getting offered 7 figures in terms of money. Like not when you're 21, 22, when you're 16, 17, 18 years old, you can have offers of $7 million. So now, like, all those parents that are, going crazy, pushing kids, to do things or to go sports. Because one of the issues I have as well is that, if you have a kid who's interested in football and, wrestling, like, let's say, which one are you going to push? The one that literally kids are getting offered 7 figures contracts, or the one where NIL's almost non-existent? It's
near 8 million.
Right.
His best deal is a college.
Yeah.
His best deal is a college degree in marketing.
Yeah. Well, so yeah. So that's what I'm saying is that, again, just like for me, from a kid's perspective, is, again, it just puts so much more pressure on kids. At the end of the day, again, these are kids, 16, 17, 18-year-old kids. They're not even in college yet. Like, it's like it's crazy. And again, it's a huge risk too, because now again, they are a business. These kids are now a business where people are, when you're offered millions of dollars, you're not a kid anymore. You're a contract. You're a business. You are a grown adult now. You are a grown adult. So
I was listening to the ACC today on my way home, and Roddy White and Chris Patola were talking about this very, very topic. And the way they were talking about it was that in 4 or 5 years, college football is going to be like a semi-pro league, essentially. That
a minor league, minor league.
Yeah, that's a better way to say it. Minor league. And that, like, the schools like Rice and like those group of 5 teams will be more an amateur league than the Power 5. And that they even had an interesting point where you could see schools, like, they go to a salary cap that they will prevent these colleges from getting more than $15 million a year to dole out NIL.
But how are you going to keep track of that, though? The NCAA has a hard time as it is really regulating anything right now as it is.
So again, it goes back to the NCAA breaking off and being the overarching governing body, but then you have independent or committees running each of these leagues, and that you will start seeing more agents involved to dictate these contracts for the NIL. And I mean, it's if you think it's crazy now, give it another 2 to 4 years and it's going to be absolutely insane.
Yeah. So I think, college sports, specifically college football, is going to look completely different in 5 years. And, I think, like, it's crazy, but it's also, these are the ones that we see, this Miami one, and, Jordan Addison to USC, which I don't think that was ever confirmed. He got that $3 million NIL deal.
But it wouldn't surprise me though at this point.
Yeah. But like this one, the Miami guy, that John Ruiz guy for Miami, he's a billionaire and he's just handing out money left and right.
And that's why they're being investigated too.
Exception, which is not good happens. Because
and again, I think it's honestly a next level thing that literally Ryan Day, the head coach at Ohio State, literally said in public, we need, it was either 13 or 16 million dollars to maintain our roster. And because to me, that's another level of that. I mean, so I can understand, like, that news comes out saying these guys are going to make this money, but for Ryan Day to literally basically hold a microphone to his mouth and saying, we are pushing money and we need Ohio State people to pay this. Like, that's like basically saying, here's the bill to get a national championship. pay it. Like it's crazy. It's crazy.
I mean, I want to know where he got those numbers from. Like, I mean, where did he get that number for the guys on our roster? We have how many 50-some guys on our team. The market value is looking like it's gonna be 13 minutes. Like, where did he get that number from? So
he's got to have numbers like what his
where's
players
that
are
from?
getting.
You don't hear that in the market. So somewhere there's some sort of market value for positions that are not being made public, and that's what I'm curious about here. Or he's just pulling out of thin air.
Well, and that's the other thing is like, is this going to be a thing where they're going to have to start, disclosing what they're making for NIL, based on potential, comings of how football is going to be operated, like Michael said, in 2 to 4 years. The one thing I'm interested is this deal is $9 million. Who's to say he doesn't get other deals? This could be the first of many deals, so he could cap out more than $9 million. This is just the first domino to fall for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, again, it's we put up there Ro Jamie's comment saying so much for the quote unquote I prefer college sports because it's not about the money, and because. Go ahead, Michael.
College sports has been about the money for the last 20
You're
years.
right. That was exactly what I was about to say.
So,
but now it's public to where it's like go all out. We're not training anymore.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, but again, let's put it this way.
Before it used to be, here's your money.
Yeah.
Now it's
classy.
Here's your money.
Classy about it. Now it's just like
right. Yes.
And that's the other thing, like, the people saying that it's going to hurt the smaller schools. It's like the smaller schools weren't competing with the top schools anyways. So I don't know.
Well,
not in football.
Not in football. Well,
I guess all this is mainly focused on
of
football.
Course. Yeah. And basketball and baseball to a very small degree, but the revenue sports, the Power Five is out of it. There's a group of five, excuse me.
Yeah, and because when you mention baseball, there's a certain player that wore number 47 that seems to, seem to have been a little bit of NIL push because the other possibilities have kind of been eliminated. But anyway, though, so
and if you want to go there real quick, on the same broadcast that I was listening to, the Rodney White and Chris Patola were like 100% NIL, like
for number 47.
They're like there's. And they think that it was potentially, the timing with FSU because they were like they kept sucking. Oh, FSU, but then FSU didn't happen. Then LSU happened, and the way LSU competes, and they're like 100% it was NIL driven.
And and I think probably Florida State firing Mike Martin and hiring Link Jarrett had a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, well, I think more in that JT Jarrett was on the team and. May have had some inside info to pass on to his dad.
Link Jarrett was a guy who said he had his interview with Notre Dame. He said the reason why he took the job was because his parents and his wife's parents are in a position where they need help. So that's why he went. He said, "I don't know."
And it's his alma mater too. So I mean, I'll never blame somebody for going back to their alma mater.
But jumping back though, because one of the things which is one of the biggest things I want to say. But first of all, what's up, Wolfpack Crazy? Appreciate you joining in. And Benjamin, we'll get to your point as well. But again, we want to kind of finish this one, then we'll jump to that as well. So don't worry, Benjamin. We'll touch on that. But one of the issues I have is Texas. All right, Texas. So I understand that for the most part, it's been about the money for NCAA.
Yeah.
And like as of recently, it's pretty much been Ohio State, Oklahoma, Alabama in the college football playoffs, and then pretty much whoever wants to come and lose to Alabama. That's pretty much what it's been, for pretty much the entire college football playoffs. But the issue I have is now with Texas, because again, it's public knowledge that there is no school that puts more money into athletic programs, specifically football, than Texas, and it's not even close. Like look at the statistics. It's not even close how much money Texas puts into the program. Okay.
Yeah.
And obviously they have a lot of celebrity push, obviously from Matthew McConaughey. And all right.
Well, I mean,
but others as well.
It's the guys' names you don't know at Texas that have the power.
Exactly. No, absolutely. But he's the most outspoken one. So I'm using him as an example. But literally, this guy. All right. So last year Texas went 6-6, right? They went 6-6.
I think.
Not mistaken.
5-7. I think
5-7. I don't even think they made a bowl game. But anyway, and literally halfway through the season, a lot of Texas fans were calling for Steve Sarkisian's head. Halfway through, literally 6 games into his first head coaching job, people were calling for his heads. And literally the number 1 recruit in the country commits to them. Yeah. And so it's just, again, the biggest issue I have is, again, it's so obvious that that's NIL, but also, too, the fact that literally Texas is about to buy their way into the college football playoff. It's not because they earned it. It's not necessarily because Steve Sarkisian may do the best job. It's because literally just Texas says, we will buy you the best players college recruiting can offer you. We're going to put it in your hands. So literally you just can, like, all you have to do is basically just hold on to the Mustang and just don't wreck it. That's literally what they're going to do. And so that's the issue I have, is that, yes, NCAA has always been about money to a point, but at the end of the day, usually better heads prevail for the most part. And the fact that Nick Saban, he's a great head coach. If not honestly, probably one of the, in the argument of the greatest college football coach of all time. He's up there easily. Would I say he's the best? Yes, but I'm just saying it's in the conversation.
Hot take.
So, but so what I'm saying though is, again, it's not necessarily just that Alabama bought it there. Then they also have great coaching, but the problem is that you literally might have a program and maybe not the best coach in Steve Sarkisian making it to the college football playoff because Texas bought it. So that's the issue I'm having, and that's an example I'm having. But like Texas A&M, let's be real. Like, I mean, Jimbo Fisher, if you compare what he's done so far to the last coach, it's not that much different. So that's why. But I mean, the kind of the other factor is that Jimbo Fisher didn't win a national championship at Florida State. So he is a good coach. But I think that Texas A&M, with the money they're putting in, might kind of take it because Jimbo Fisher hasn't been able to kind of get over that hump really, and take the division, So now with the money going in with NIL, maybe now they'll be able to get over that hump. So that's what I'm saying, is that to me now money is becoming too much of a factor of getting over the humps or getting to new levels. So I'm sorry.
Well, you're spot on there. But I think, like you said, coaching is money gets you in the conversation at the top of the country in competing nationally. And then I think, you still have to have, it is still football. You have to have that elite coaching to get you, to the finish line.
But let's not forget they're going to the SEC next year with Oklahoma. Yeah. So it's not going to be an easy chore at all. Yeah. And it depends on how they do their divisions. They may end up in a division with Alabama. We don't know, how that's going to work out. So, but Texas is a school that they'll sell any spot on the stadium, because I think a couple of years ago, I think they renamed the scoreboard like Coors Light or Corona Light or something. Like
they don't care.
They don't care.
No morals.
They have no shame. No shame. So, good for them. But it hasn't produced anything. But this just in, there'll be a top 20 team come the preseason polls.
Oh yeah.
Are they every year?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it's just, again, Bro Jamie says, I think he wanted to go somewhere that he could be a hero player. That wouldn't happen at a program like Georgia, Alabama. And I get that. But again, it's just, come on. Like, the number one, go ahead.
I'm going to say how many years, because one of those guys is going to be benched.
I was going to say, are we talking about Arch Manning?
But didn't
benched. They don't get the starting job and they're out.
But didn't Quinn Ewers put his name in the transfer portal?
Well, that's what I'm saying. If he transfers again, he's got to sit a year.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, he did transfer. Okay, I didn't see that.
Yeah,
because I'm pretty sure he signed at Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he got $1 million NIL deal.
Yeah,
he did. Yeah. Let's see. I thought I saw something that after Arch Manning committed, that he or maybe another quarterback announces name in the transfer portal.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't remember. But either way. So, but yeah, again, because here's the thing too, is that, so when have you ever seen a number one, like, for example, the Florida State, the number one overall recruit that was committed to Florida State, and then he went to Jackson State.
Yeah.
And then now Arch Manning, the number one overall recruit, going to a Texas that last year went 6-6 or 5-7. Like, you don't ever, like, when have you ever seen before NIL number one overall recruits basically just like taking a huge risk of going to a program that still hasn't even like flipped the first page of becoming an elite program yet? I mean, Texas has,
unlike NC State.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. But because again, that's another frustrating too for us as State fans, is that, like, our coaching staff has stuck around, our players have stuck around, and yet basically, because we unfortunately we just can't compete with money like Texas and Texas A&M and Alabama, whatever it is. So it's frustrating that for the most part we feel like we're doing it right, and we're obviously building a culture to do it right. But then it still might not be enough, because then money is going to speak a lot more in college football than it did 2 years ago. So, but yeah, no. Rose Amy says Texas is back. You hear it every year. Yeah, no, it kind of makes me want to do a little bit of horns down. Not to be honest with you, it bugs the crap out of me. But
now here's an interesting thought: the Texas QB who started last year, Hudson Card.
Mm-hmm.
So now they got Quinn Ewers who will come in and start this year, and then next year it'll be Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning probably competing. I wouldn't be surprised if Hudson Card enters the transfer portal and. Potentially Tim Beck was his lead recruiter getting him to Texas. So if we might be looking for a QB next year,
dude, that is a theory right there, Michael. That is a theory right there.
And I will say this.
I like it.
Evan Leary plays the way we all expect him to play. There's going to be a lot of quarterbacks who would want to play.
Yeah, that's
next year.
Yep.
Absolutely. So. Absolutely. All right. So with that being said, we'll kind of continue this conversation, but as basically some of the comments that were kind of sent to us as questions. So we're going to continue this conversation a little bit as more of a theory from some of NC State fans that commented on our stuff. So we will transition over right now to Tuffy's mailbag. So here we go. All right. So first of all, this is basically commenting on the tweet that we did about the Miami player, and Preston. So we're saying, how are we supposed to compete with universities that throw these offers out to kids? We are trying to prepare our collective in an upfront, cautious way, by all accounts, abiding by future possible rules even. And basically what he's getting at is, obviously, with Tackle Wolves Collective, first of all, shout out, make sure to go support them for sure. But one of the things that was stated by Scott Wood and the guys at Tackle Wolves is basically saying that we didn't want to be the first one, but we wanted to be the right one. And we wanted to do it the right way. And, again, it just comes down to at the end of the day that even though we may do it the right way, and even though that Coach Doran and his staff have done it the right way so far, that with the way that the NIL set up right now, that it's basically going to benefit the guys that had it set up the right way in terms of alumni. Because, unfortunately, guys like Texas, Oklahoma, even the Ohio States, the Michigans, they have 100,000 active students at any one time. It's a lot more likely to get more money from schools like that because their alumni base is a whole lot bigger than schools like us, or even like a lot of schools in the ACC. Again, you have 3 or 4 private schools just in the ACC alone. So again, how can the ACC itself really compete against the guys like that? That again, the alumni base it's night and day compared to the Big Ten, or now the SEC compared to the ACC. So, kind of thought on that there, but
yeah. I mean, that kind of goes back to my thought that we weren't competing with Alabama and Ohio State like before NIL, anyways. So, I think it'll be. I think I've said it before that the NIL for us will help. We still kind of recruit the same type of players, but it'll help us keep them here instead of entering the transfer portal if they blow up. If a 3-star comes in and then becomes one of the best players in the country and tries to go to the transfer portal, I think the our NIL Pack of Wolves and others kind of just maybe is an incentive to stay at NC State instead of transferring.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm going to add this to that. I think different schools have different strategies, right? So some schools, a lot of the bigger name schools are going to be doing a lot of the bidding. Essentially, they're going to be paying for it. They don't want to call it bidding, but
it's not the market value.
It's bidding. You're incentivizing financially players to come to your school in a big, major way, and you don't think about. It doesn't have to even be football. Look what Miami basketball did to get that Kansas State transfer, Nigel Pack, transferred in after they gave a contract or gave a 2-year, I think it was $400,000 a year NIL deal to Isaiah Wong, I think is who it was. And then he's like, wait a minute, I want more money. I was on the team. I deserve more money. And I think that caused a problem when you start doing that. Entitlement gets there. but I think the way State's doing it, and I think there's other programs who are probably going to be doing this, and I'm sure there are. But State's recruiting the guys who are, like Michael was saying, who are already you want to see, do you genuinely want to be here? Because are you here because of money? Because when you get here, we'll pay you and we'll make it worth your while, but you got to want to be here first. And
well,
they're taking care of the players in the locker room versus outside of the locker room. And that's just a philosophy and a strategy how you want to do that. I think, in my opinion, I would agree that would probably make a healthier locker room because you're taking care of the guys in there versus being like, oh, we want to get a 5-star number 1 quarterback, pay him $10 million. Well, that. How do you think he's going to feel? The rest of the team's going to feel when he rolls in. He gets in the locker room for day one. He's making 10 times more than anybody else. So
what happens when he has that bad day and overthrows 5 guys?
Yeah,
exactly. It's a business now. But again, because that's the thing too, is that Tommy, number 47 at one point said this, that he just wants to be one of the guys. And so when I think about that comment, I just want to be one of the guys. One of the issues I have is that I think that there should be a cap of a sort to how much these players can make. Because first of all, how can honestly, if these guys, if this Miami guy is making $9.5 million, he doesn't even need to stay on campus. He can buy a mansion right beside the campus.
Yeah.
And so literally, if you have a guy, let's say, a long snapper or whatever it is, or whoever that's staying in the dorms, eating, the university food, and then you have a quarterback who's living in a mansion, having his own meal service and all that jazz, how can you honestly say that's not going to, kind of scratch a little bit? You can't tell me that's not a thought in the head. You may say I get it. You made your money, good for you. But you can't tell me that guy that's again living in the university dorms and eating university food isn't thinking about that a little bit, thinking man, that's messed up, man. That you can't tell me that. So again, that's the problem I have, is that again, I think that it's more than fair to say that, okay, we're gonna set up a deals enough that if you do what the contract has stated, on top of handling your student athlete deals, that will have you enough money in your pocket that you can support yourself. And, if you have, a kid or whatever it is, you can support them financially, whatever it is, but not that you can afford to basically buy a mansion and buy a meal service to basically completely separate yourself. And you can't do anything about it. It's again, that's an issue.
I think State's fans got to also realize too, if we take that approach, at the end of the day, the other schools are bidding for players.
I know.
It's kind of like, well, that sucks unless we want to play that game. And I think State's going to have to decide. There's going to have to be, you got to make your NIL really, really healthy. I think that'll have to be your positioning with other recruits. And again, State's not going to State's not the kind of school that goes and gets the guys who the Lamborghinis on the middle of the field.
Yeah. Culture guys. They're culture guys.
They want guys who are like the quote that's over the Murphy Center, blue collar, hands in dirt school thing. So they want those guys who just fit that culture. But yeah, you're probably not going to be able to offer $10 million like Michigan or Texas or Oklahoma or Alabama do. You might. But
that's why I'm saying that again. We just can't. We're not going to win that race. We're not going to win that race. We're not going to win that race. You know what I mean?
But State fans, go ahead. Go ahead.
It's going to be a couple things. It's going to be interesting when we start winning consistently. Are people going to show up to put money in the pot? So that will tell you right. That will tell you right there all you need to know.
That's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. And then number 2, what happens on these teams that are shelling out big dollars when they see number 58 with 20 sacks and number 56 with 21 sacks, but 58 makes $2 million more a year? Is that going to be like, hey, I want to go get paid. I want my money. And then the third point I want to make is, when they get this money, is it going to motivate them? Or is it be like, well, I got $9 million. I'm set. I'm good. And then their work ethic completely changes. Mm-hmm. So it'll be interesting to see how those different dynamics play out for these programs that are spending a lot of money, lot of money.
And State fans, if they want to, they have to realize that's the game we all have to play now. So again, I go back to the thing we said like the last year or so on our channel. You have been saying for those fans that you will give us something to cheer for. You have it. And if you don't want to get this, and there's some there's some reward there too. Like if you're donating to this NIL program, they have some giveaways. You get to go meet the players and have nice events. Like look at Layton's shirt. Yeah. So there's some really neat stuff there. I think particularly being able to interact with the players in a way you may not ever have, other than like a spring game or whatever.
Yeah, like meeting players. Like, I mean, I can't. That wasn't a very often. Like, that doesn't happen very often. Besides, like like you said, the spring game, or when they, have all the players out there. Meet the pack day. Yeah.
When I got invited out by Gopher, now Pack of Wolves guys, to the Nebraska basketball game back in December, I'm sitting in a suite with Scott Wood, Corin Robinson, Drake Thomas,
now he's name dropping,
Isaiah Moore, and Tanner Engel.
Once you break the leg, you're just really cool.
but the point is because they were starting the foundation, that had already been in the works, and now it's like I get to rub elbows with some state legends, in really potential NFL pros that are probably be getting drafted in the next year. So
and they're learning skills too, because that's part of the deal. They're getting to learn skills that will prepare them for life. So it's there's a pitch there that you have, and a branding that the NIL and NC State, the Pack of Wolves, has, that we as fans can support, and it will set these guys up for success, and NC State for success down the road. It's just not bidding millions of dollars up front on players. And I mean, maybe someday we do a little bit. I don't think we will, but like maybe if we give enough money, we donate enough money, that'll end up happening. I just don't know. That's a philosophy.
And two players that really come to mind with that is Timothy McKay. He's out there crushing like all these different opportunities. He's getting internships, and then not Kayla Jones.
Shania Rivers.
Thank you, Kai. No, Kai. Kai's working with Pack of Wolves doing.
So
it's like you're saying, they're getting these life skills, and now they can translate that to whatever their major was, and it's getting them a foot in the door to do great things and representing the university at the same time. Kind of almost like paying them back, if you will.
Absolutely, right? Yeah. No, and again, it just comes back to that. Then they keep in mind, with Pack Nation as well, that to me, I just don't want to get to the point where literally the only reason why players are coming to NC State is because we're paying them. Like at the end of the day,
right?
NC State. At the end of the day, I mean, I think all State fans truly believe that NC State is different, and the fact that again, like that anybody who's an NC State fan, again, I always say NC State builds character, and people say like, what does that mean? NC State builds character. I'm like, if you're an NC State fan, you know what that means when you say NC State builds character. It just does, and it's just different, and because also it means a lot more. Again, it means a lot more to us, and again, because I want the alumni like Scott Wood that loves NC State through and through. I want the guys like Mike Glennon, for example, that love NC State so much, even though he's made millions in the NFL. He says, I still want to come back to NC State. And I still want to help the next generation prepare themselves for life after football, because it's going to come one way or another. Again, statistically, I think like the average NFL career is like 2 and some change years on average. So, I mean, it's quick. So basically meaning that most of these guys, by the time they're 25, 26 years old, football's over. And so then, and now what? And so at the end of the day, I'd rather have the NC State guys that after football have a degree, they know how to present themselves professionally, and they're ready to be out in the real world. And also too, so that way they can come back just like these guys are doing, come back and give right back to the next generation, and so on and so forth. Pay it forward. Exactly. Like that's so go ahead.
And they'll have a little money in their pocket too.
Exactly. So that's why I say again, Pack of Wolves is not just simply, if you give them money, they're going to take that money and pay players. That's not what it's all about. That's
at least not for us.
Not for us. And again, it may be for others, but then that's why I'm saying, and that's kind of why I kind of chipped in on saying I don't want to be the guy that, because again, you're not going to win that race. You're not going to beat Michigan. You're not going to beat Ohio State. You're not going to beat Texas in terms of how much money you can offer a player. You're not going to do that. So what you can do otherwise, though, is again, what can we do in the fact saying, if you come to NC State, we'll put enough money in your pocket where you can support yourself. We will also get you an exemplary degree. We will have you a part of a program that the culture fits. You love being a part of the team. You love the coaching staff. We develop you. NC State develops talent, and also too, the fans love you to death.
The intangibles.
The intangibles. Go ahead, Macon.
I put a bow on this too a little bit, going back to the original tweet you had out, or the question, I think, too, with the Jalen Rashada. I think it was from the tweet of the week too, but you're talking about this now.
Yeah.
He was down apparently to Miami and Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And there's an article that just went out today about why he picked Miami or Florida. And he come out and said later that it was, I genuinely like Miami, whatever, maybe he did. But part was they were saying that Florida's NIL is like one of the worst organized right now. And that was a big deal. Like one guy I think was helping Rashada was like, yeah, I don't ever want to work with Florida's NIL again until they get that straight. So
yeah, there is that lawyer. That was Rashada's lawyer, but
like that, yeah.
And he's not exactly the straightest guy out there. Like he's a little shady.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. Either way, my whole point is having a healthy NIL matters.
Yes.
Unhealthy NIL lose guys, and obviously paying players is going to get some attention. But the intangibles what we want at State. We're that kind of school. We want to do it right. We want to do it healthy. We want to build these guys up for success. Keep the core in the locker room healthy. I think we're doing it the right way. I think at this point, it's just a matter of State fans donating. Yeah. You want this? You want stuff to pull for? You've got it. There's no time like the present.
Yep.
And then, like you said, Macon before, if they don't do it, then they'll never do it.
Yeah, they're just looking for an excuse.
Exactly. So one thing I want to go ahead and put out there is obviously the title of this live stream is talking about how Dereon Seabron went out drafted. Obviously, when we set this up, that was kind of the highlight. But obviously, with the news of that Miami player coming out basically yesterday, it just that's a whole carton of eggs that just needed to get talked about here because our whole can of worms need to be open today. But we do want to kind of mention we do want to talk a little bit about it. So obviously the biggest news about Dereon Seabron not getting drafted in the NBA and NBA draft and getting signed as a free agent to the New Orleans Pelicans. And a lot of people immediately one of the things that kind of came out was saying that they feel like he was getting bad advice, obviously he's not getting the best intel and best advice, whatever it is, but just like we said, that kind of, I think I actually commented back on it, basically saying at the end of the day, it's the player's decision. At the end of the day, I think Seabron was 22, 23?
22. He just turned 22. Yeah.
So, I mean,
old.
He's been in college for, 4 years, basically, 3-4 years.
3.
And so it could just be that, again, he just wanted to go and make some money. Again, at the end of the day, it's not just NBA or bust. Go ahead, Macon.
Is he? Honestly, I agree. Is he really going to play that much better than he did last season? I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe he increased. We talked about this last time. He could have maybe
gets a jump shot.
Right.
That was the only thing that, and that's not a knock. I mean, that's the only really part of his game that he need to work on.
And I think he showed that at the summer league. Yeah. So what more are you going to show to a team? So I think him getting on the Pelicans was great for him. You can think about it, the Pelicans, a lot of ACC players. They've got
have a lot.
Brandon Ingram, Zion Wilson, Jose Alvarado. Yep. So really interesting. So
at one point they had JJ Redick.
But I don't think he necessarily got bad advice because the rumor was, he could potentially be a number 1 draft pick, but that was like as it was getting closer to draft day, that was kind of dropping off. And
you mean first round draft pick?
First round, sorry, yeah. But then once he fell out of the first round, it was best at that point for him not to get drafted because the way the NBA is structured, they don't guarantee second round contracts for money. Right. So I would rather go to an opportunity where I have a better chance of making a team than being told what team I'm going to.
Well,
exactly.
So at that point, he was able to get his best deal. Go ahead.
It's not just Dereon Seabron on the summer league roster too. I saw a tweet that put out that DJ Funderburk made it for the Utah Jazz and
Devin Daniels to Orlando
Magic. Yeah, so pretty cool. I think that's a good thing for State. They can maybe get some contracts. That's a big deal for them. They can. That's how a lot of guys can try to get in the NBA. But I think Dereon was fine to go. I mean, what I have liked. There's the other side of the coin where you're thinking, well, if he's not going to get drafted, why not come back? But we've already argued the point. You can be making 5, 6, probably 6 figures playing basketball
easily
and doing just fine in life. So he's just ready to move on.
Well, especially a guy like
about college,
right?
Yeah, don't go to class if he gets injured. Whatever.
Especially with the game the way his is, where again he's a drive to the basket, dunk on you kind of guy. So a player like that's a guy that any organization in Europe would love to have because then it's exciting to watch. Everybody loves seeing a really cool dunk or a great poster, and that's his game. So again, he will put butts in seats. So but yeah, because again, I mean for Terquavian Smith. you could easily make the case of why it would have been beneficial and why it is beneficial for him to come back to NC State and play another year. But with Seabron, you couldn't necessarily make that case, but especially too because of the fact now with the roster the way it is, now we have a lot of mouths to feed. It's like, is he really going to have that much better of a season, or is it kind of like a Bryce Love, for example? Bryce Love is always a great example. I always love to bring up where his junior year at Stanford, he went off. He was, borderline. He was a running back for Stanford, and he was he was a borderline Heisman candidate, and he could have gone to the NFL. He came back, and his stock tanked. I think he
got drafted.
He got drafted late. I think it was like 6th or 7th round.
Yeah,
but
again,
but at the time, it was. He was talked about being 2nd and 3rd round pick. The year before that. So again, just it's a game. And and maybe for Bryce, he wanted to come back and have another year. Getting a Stanford education, getting another year of a Stanford education is not a bad thing. So can't necessarily knock him on that. But if it was a play of kind of helping him with his draft stock, obviously it didn't work out for him. So, but it's a game. But one of the last things I wanted to kind of touch on as well, had one more mailbox question, actually from Facebook. Douglas Dakin said, I would love to know more about running backs this year. And so I feel like every single week we have a question talking about running backs next year, because I know that's one of the that's the biggest question for NC State football heading into next year is running backs. And I know that I think it was Athlon Sports, and the reason why I wanted to kind of show that is that Athlon Sports I think did a article about kind of who are some potential breakout players for this upcoming season, and one of the guys that they put on there was Demi Sumo. And again, we've said multiple times, this guy's gotten unanimously just absolutely praised coming out of camps, talking about this guy could be the real deal for sure. Because I think that it even mentioned in the article as well that Dave Doran typically doesn't have a one guy 3-down back. He usually has a committee of running backs. And so besides Jordan Houston, who's going to be the other guys? Is it Demi Sumo? Is it Michael Allen? Who's it going to be? And I think it's going to be all three of them. I think that you're going to see Michael Allen a little bit. I think you see Demi Sumo for sure. But again, it really just depends on who hits. It's kind of like fantasy football. You take one of those big time running backs and you just hope that you can get a second guy to hit. And if you get that second guy to hit, then you're off to the races. You're running beautifully right now. And so I think that's kind of one of the things that you put Demi Sumo in there, you put Michael Allen there, and see which guy takes off.
Some of that too is going to be matchups too. Like just
True.
One guy just might have a hot hand. Obviously you're going to ride that hot hand. I'd rather have a stable of 3 than a stable of 1 or 2. So
absolutely.
To me, there's bigger questions, and we'll get that, later on in the summer. But I think we're going to be fine at running back.
Yeah.
If all the hype that the coaches are putting out with these players, if the audio matches the video, we'll be fine. We'll be fine.
Yeah.
I like that saying. I don't know if I've heard that. That's a good one.
That's one of my sayings. Yeah. The audio matches the video. Yeah.
I like it. Go ahead, Michael.
And the other thing was we finished last in the ACC in rushing last year. So it's like, we lose our top 2 backs, but
what do we really lose?
At the same time, we weren't leaning on them to win games last year anyway.
I want to say this. I'm not going to say State's going to be the worst in rushing this year, but I don't see a reason for us to be a run-heavy offense either this upcoming season.
Not at all.
And so I don't – and that's my only thing. That's my only thing. I think you're going to see State put the ball in Devin Leary's hands. I'm not saying we're a pass-first offense. I know Doran loves running the ball, but I kind of think we might be a pass-first offense this year, like a first down.
Sure.
You're gonna run the ball to set up play action just to keep the defense honest, and so we're gonna be one of those run teams to throw the ball, not throw the ball to run the ball.
Exactly.
So.
You just need to be run viable. You need to have teams thinking you can run the ball, because again, it's like our men's basketball team last year, which I hate to bring it up, but it's like nobody even paid attention to what was going on outside. We're just going to put everybody outside, and if you throw it inside, then hey, so be it. But we're not really scared of what you got inside, so we're just going to shut off the outside. And that's kind of what it is this year. Is again, you just want to help Leary and them a little bit, by getting linebackers to bite on the play action a little bit more than seeing. Devin Leary, go to hand the ball off, and the linebacker's like, I know you're passing. I'm going back here.
Yeah.
That's what you don't want. You don't want that. So and also too, just like Mark said, got to be able to run to give the D some rest time. And absolutely.
I'll tell you what though, Dave Doran likes running the ball, so it's
he balances it.
You do not win games if you cannot run the ball. So
yes,
now we'll say State won games a lot last year, and they were
unless you're Mississippi State,
right? But I think State's run the ball well this year. I don't think it's going to be dominant. But maybe it is. Maybe
it is.
We don't know.
Maybe Devin Leary's 1,000-yard rusher. We just never know.
Yeah.
I mean, he did run. I know
that.
I think he ran the ball 2 or 3 times at the spring game, which I was like, whoa, okay.
But he knew he wasn't getting hit. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
But honestly,
I think his longest run was 20 yards, I think, too.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but I mean, honestly, if Leary can be a little bit more mobile this year, that would definitely add another little element to the offense.
Yeah, because you got to keep a spy or whatever. I'm like, it keeps defenses honest.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, because that's another thing too. Just like you said, again, then you just want to know that option is viable. So meaning that, because again, Tim Beck loves to do option plays, and so then if Devin Leary is looking like he's doing an option, you don't want all the defense to be like, Devin Leary ain't holding on to it. I'm going to the running back. Yeah. Like you want to be the guy to be like, okay, let's see who he hands it off to.
Yeah.
Like that's what you want. And because one other guy too, I'll kind of throw in there as well is the transfer we got, the quarterback utility guy, Jack Chambers. You know, is he a guy, that you kind of use too? And he's
about him.
And he's a guy too that I could easily see kind of, I know that Thayer Thomas is our guy that we love to do some fake passes with, but I mean
trickery.
But I see him being a guy, that they throw out there maybe, so again, there's still a lot of questions to be had. And obviously we're less than 10 weeks away, folks. That just keep that in mind. We're less than 10 weeks away from NC State football. As crazy as that is. That's crazy to think about. But as we get a little bit closer here in the summer, we will definitely be doing multiple episodes kind of breaking down and talking about this huge NC State football season that I think all of us are expecting to have this year for sure. And because I think it was the Wolfpacker that had the interview with Tony Gibson, and basically he made a comment basically saying that our goal this year is just to win 12 games to see what happens. And I'm like,
good start.
I love that. That's a great quote right there. So and also too, by the way, one last thing I'll say too, from going to the Pack of Wolves event, is that Peyton Wilson, I actually have a picture from his freshman year where I went to a men's basketball game. I ran to him. I took pictures beside him. Standing beside that guy today, that dude is huge. That dude's a real deal, man. I'm telling you that if that guy could stay healthy,
he was just people forget.
Yeah, he's a beast. Like I think there was an article that came out or whatever that had Drake Thomas as a first team All ACC, and then had Isaiah Morris like a third team All ACC.
Yeah.
Okay. I get why you left him off, because he basically he only played a game and a half last year. I get it, but that dude is unreal. That dude is easily, if he plays all 12 games, he's ACC Defensive Player of the Year in my head.
Good luck.
Yeah. It is interesting. Like you said, looking at different media, I'm looking at the Athlon here. I want to see some oh yeah. He is.
Go ahead.
So Athlon has both Peyton Wilson and Drake Thomas on first team defense and Isaiah Moore on third team defense. But like you said, I've seen them have Drake Thomas first, Isaiah Moore third, and Peyton Wilson third, and it's just
there's no
reason
reason
all
why
be first.
Yeah, there's no reason why they can all be at least first or second.
Yeah.
Here's a question for later on, because I know we're going to wrap this up. But here's a question for later on: which player on NC State's defense has the best chance to be a Defensive Player of the Year?
ACC,
obviously. Yeah. Because NC State had multiple ACC first team All ACC picks. Tanner Engel was on that list.
Shaheem Battle was high.
Yeah.
Corey linebackers.
So what do they? When they're all in, who it's Isaiah
who's
Moore,
the batter? Who's going to get it? Is it going to be Durden? Is it going to be Engel or Drake? Peyton or Isaiah, probably one of those guys.
I thought Peyton played middle.
When they're all healthy, I don't know.
No, Isaiah Moore is middle. Peyton's an edge guy. He's so
athletic. Yeah.
Peyton's an edge guy. Yeah, no, you want Peyton come off the edge. That dude is perfect.
I think
for
he's
him off
weak
the edge.
side, and I think
No, I think it's the other way. I think it's the other way around.
Okay, never mind.
Drake's
Strong
weak.
side, left side.
Yeah, right.
Strong side.
But
I don't-
I don't know. I mean, any of them.
Interesting
I
question
probably
for next
wouldn't.
time. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
it's an interesting thought.
There you
So Mark Garris says Drake Thomas. So make sure to comment and maybe even just comment on here what you all think as well on who.
And if you give an answer, you have to explain why it's not the other guys or why it is this guy.
Yeah, I hear your thoughts. So Mark, if you wouldn't mind, just kind of give your thoughts. I'd be interested in what you have to say about it. But with that being said, so yeah, unfortunately, we do have to eventually end the show, and so we're actually unfortunately at that point. But again, every single Monday, 8 p.m., we are here for the Tuffy Talk live shows, and to again do all things NC State with you all, Wolfpack Nation. So make sure every single Monday, 8 p.m., that you tune in with us here to join in on the conversation and provide your own questions, thoughts, whatever it may be. And also to make sure to stay tuned this week as well. So again, we got some episodes coming out here this week. And so make sure to, first of all, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit that little notification bell. So that way you're notified on all your devices whenever we go live for the Tuffy Talk live show, as well as any watch parties in the future, as well as whenever we release any new episodes, any vlogs, you're notified when all of that goes live. So make sure to do that first of all. And also, if you don't mind as well, give this video a like. If you don't like this video, that means you're a UNC Tar Heel fan. Just saying. No, I'm just messing. But if you don't mind giving this video a like, we'd appreciate it. So that way YouTube will put this video in front of more NC State fans. So that way they'll come and join in on Tuffy Talk live show with us. And also to send us a comment as well, just like Macon was saying, on who you think is likely to win AC Player of the Year and why you don't think the other guys would. Why do you think this guy over the rest, kind of deal. And also to follow us at Tuffy Talk now on Twitter, Instagram if you haven't already. But with that being said, once again, we appreciate all y'all tuning in. And again, just as always, stay safe. Always go Pack, y'all.